Om Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapatye Om Shanti 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 Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamshirishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarahitaha Prajnanaghanaha Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi Om Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Pada Vidham Bibhrate Tasmai Bhashyakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane Om. Yasya Nishvasitam Veda Yo Vedebhyo Khilan Jagat Nirmame Tamaham Vande Vidyatirthamaheshwaram Vidyatirthamaheshwaram. Accomplishment of Jivan Mukti is through three means: Tattvajnanam, Vasanakshaya, and Manonasha. Tattvajnanam meaning the knowledge. Vasanakshaya means eradication of the latent impressions which are now responsible for generating desires. And then finally, Manonasha means allowing the mind to transform not as thought processes, but as growing peace and niruddhatvakarena parinama, stillness. Just as in any room, when we switch the light on, obviously the darkness is dispelled away. But just think, if there is a provision of increasing the intensity of the light of the bulb or whatever equipment we have, then we are bound to find that there is more light than before in the room. That more light means more darkness is dispelled away. So you can say that there is more light than before, or in other words, you can even say there is less darkness than before. Therefore, just as that, there is growing sense of peace and stillness. This is possible when the mind has stopped converting, transforming itself in thought processes. This can happen with knowledge that Atma is Brahman, or even without the knowledge Atma is Brahman. When the samadhi is without the knowledge, then that samadhi of the yogi will definitely bring him immense peace inside and outside. It will become a tapa which will lead him to celestial worlds and back to the mortal world. But when that samadhi has the prelude of knowledge, then that samadhi becomes a means to Jivan Mukti. Therefore, these are the three means: Tattvajnanam, Vasanakshaya, and Manonasha, responsible for Jivan Mukti. Somebody is also going to ask a question as what will happen if one becomes Jivan Mukta? The question seems to be simple, but this question, put in different words, will mean what is the purpose of Jivan Mukti? So now purpose means prayojanam, and we are going to say not one, but 5 purposes of life will be served. And these are visible. This is something that is visible, tangible, perhaps measurable. The standards of measures could be different. But these are all prayojanas, purposes, and therefore do not worry just about one purpose that you may want to justify. But we are going to say there are 5 purposes that are accomplished. The first being Jnana Raksha. Jnana Raksha means the degree, a growing degree of that peace of the samadhi leads to perfection of knowledge. We have seen the 7 stages of Jivan Mukti, beginning from Shubhecha, Vicharana, and Tanuma Manasa. These are the 3 stages of sadhana in which the knowledge has yet not taken place. But the seeker is sincerely striving. He is truly, sincerely striving to get rid of vasanas. He is trying to develop the vairagyam. He is trying to instill the divine qualities. He is bringing a discipline to his life. He is sincerely striving to eradicate those vasanas which are going to become a burden, a bondage. His spirituality is not meant so that others can recognize him as spiritual. Please remember, this is the golden rule. Let us not depend on how people are going to judge us. Judgments will be passed by people depending upon their capacity to understand. Judgment is solely not based on what you are intrinsically. And therefore, let us not worry about whether others recognize my greatness or they do not. You be what you are because that is what you are. If we strive to mold ourselves by the standards how people are going to judge us, our story will be like the father and son who were going to the market with their donkey. As they were going, another stranger on the way said, "Look here, you both are going to the market, and your donkey is not laden with any burden. Wouldn't it be intelligent if one of you just sat on the donkey?" So the father made the son sit on the donkey. As they went a little further, another man came by the way, and he said, "Look how shameless this young boy is. He is making his father walk, but he is sitting shamelessly, comfortably on the donkey and riding all the way to the market." So the son got down and made the father get up and sit. A little further, another person came and he said, "What kind of father are you? Don't you feel love and kindness for your son that you are making him walk and you are sitting comfortably? I wouldn't do this to my son." So now the father was confused. He said that somebody said, "You are shameless." Somebody says that I am selfish. It is better both of us sit on the donkey. Both of them sat on the donkey. Came another animal activist on the road and he said, "You people are so cruel. Look at that poor animal. You are both sturdy and strong. Your legs can carry you to the market, but you are putting your burden on that poor animal because it cannot say, it cannot refuse." Now the father and son both were confused what to do. So they just tied the donkey to a bamboo and carried the donkey on their shoulders. Then came another one and he said, "Look how foolish you are carrying donkey on your shoulders. The donkey should carry you on its shoulders." Now we really don't know whether the people are a donkey or the donkey is the master. Who is who? People are bound to pass judgments. All that we have to know is stay sincere, honest to what we are doing. When we are going to strive sincerely, Ishvara is the karma phaladata, is the one who Ishvara is the one who delivers you the karma phala. And when we are going to strive in the direction of knowledge, in the direction of Jivan Mukti, Ishvara will melt because there are very few who strive to walk on this path. The rest of the world is only given to appeasement of the ego and appeasement of the senses. Look at everyone all around, and people are simply interested in pacifying in pleasing their senses, appeasing the senses, appeasing the ego. And therefore, if there is someone who is thus sincerely going to walk this path of self-realization, the supreme power which takes care of this world, the compassion, the kindness, Ishvara's grace will come to you. You need not even ask for it. It will be as natural as water flowing from the heights to the ocean. It will be as natural as that. In the Yoga Sutra, when it comes to Ishvara's grace, because the mother of yoga school of philosophy is Sankhya, and they rejected Ishvara. They said Ishvara is redundant, we don't require to discuss Ishvara. So they have no place for Ishvara in their scheme at all. The Sankhya philosophy does not have, that's why it is called as Nirishvara Sankhya. And the yoga philosophy is called as Seshvara Sankhya, Ishvara Sahitam Sankhya. It is Sankhya only. It is expansion of Sankhya philosophy. Writing the commentary on the Yoga Sutras, when it comes to Ishvara Pranidhana, where sage Patanjali introduces Ishvara, which was rejected, found to be redundant, useless by the Sankhyas, he says it is worth, because when the seeker, when the yogi now strives for samadhi, Ishvara, who is an asanga purushaha, purusha vishesha but asangaha, according to them, this Ishvara now tilts avarjayati. Vyasabhasham says avarjayati, which means Ishvara tilts, झुक जाता है towards this seeker. And Ishvara's tilting towards the seeker means now he marches swiftly on the path of samadhi. He progresses swiftly on the path of samadhi. Provided when these efforts are sincere, sincerity is the key factor, and not only sincere but persistence too. Dirghakala nairantarya satkara sevito dridabhumi. The dridabhumi, the firm ground on which your spirituality will raise its temple, is the ground should not be shaky. The ground should not be, what do they call, should not be weak. If it is going to be sandy, the foundation is going to sink inside. So it requires dridabhumi. What is that dridabhumi? He says this dridabhumi it becomes a dridabhumi, a firm ground, only when Nairantarya. Satkara sevito dridabhumi. What is the entire sutra I just sent? Three things are there. What is it, Sarita?
Swamiji, Dirghakala, Nairantarya, Satkara Sevito.
Dirghakala means a long time. Dirghakala, Nairantarya. Nairantarya means constant application. That constant application means that there is a commitment of every day. And wherever the person finds a little opportunity, perhaps he is just waiting at the bus stop or sitting in the bus and he knows another 40 minutes to reach the destination. He withdraws, he closes the eyes. Every given opportunity he uses, doesn't miss the opportunity. When I was living in Vrindavan, Mahanji Swami Omkaranandji Maharaj once said to me, देखो बेटा समय का सदुपयोग करो. I was young that time. That time he said, look here son, use your time wisely. समय का सदुपयोग करो. Because the day that passes away, now it cannot be retrieved back from the womb of the past. It is gone, it is gone. Pujya Swami Tejavananji said that people don't waste time, people waste their life. People don't waste time, people waste their life. Because the time that is wasted is not wasted for anyone, it is our life that is wasted. It was an opportunity, it was a golden opportunity to take a step further, but instead we used it for taking a step backwards. Now, when a seeker is thus sincerely striving, applying himself for a long time, now this Ishvara melts, dravit hota hai, melts, and the grace flows to such a seeker. It will protect such a person under all circumstances. Name bhaktah pranashyati. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Name bhaktah pranashyati. Hey Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, pratijanihi. I am declaring my oath. I pledge, I am declaring my oath that the devotee will not be destroyed. Destruction of a devotee means when the devotion is destroyed. A seeker is destroyed when his spiritual practice takes a back seat. When appeasement of the senses and appeasement of the ego take the front seat and the spirituality is kept at the back seat, now the one what is driving the life is just this crazy ambition, this madness of the world, which has already infected the whole world. Ishvaraha So therefore, now in these first three stages, the person strives sincerely. The fourth stage is called the stage of knowledge, which is Swapnavat, because the world is now understood, seen only as like a dream, like a dream. Because there is a similarity between dream and the world which is being experienced. Even a dream is experienced, this world is also experienced. Just because something is experienced does not make it real. In fact, we are going to say because it is experienced, the factor of experience is common between both the dream as well as this world. We have more chances, we have a stronger case of saying that it is like a dream. The other thing about the dream is that it is whether you see an elephant or you see a gold mine, whether you see a tiger chasing you or you see yourself in a lap of a beautiful girl, does not matter. Both of these are false. Just like that, the success and failure over here are also false. So the idea of falsity, the factor of falsity is common between both. Of appearance is common between both, and therefore we are saying even the Jagrat Jagat is, your Swapna Jagat is already mithya. That we don't have to prove. All that you need is only to understand that what are the things because of which the dream, the Swapna Jagat is also called as mithya. Now, are these factors present in the Jagrat Jagat too, or are they not? There is a little verification and analysis. Vichara, Viveka is there. And on that analysis, one comes to see it is false. And this Atma, the one who illumines the dream, is the illuminator of the entire world, of the time, of the space, of all attributes known and unknown, of past, present, and future. This Atma is Brahman. Atma is Brahman, and the entire world is an appearance on this consciousness. This is the knowledge that takes place in the fourth stage. Fifth, sixth, and seventh are the stages of Jivan Mukti, in which there is a growing sense of peace, because the Samadhi also is progressing in its intensity and duration. That is Jnana Raksha. Now that knowledge will not be clouded, and therefore there is Jnana Raksha, the first purpose that is accomplished. The second purpose that is accomplished is what we have seen, Tapaha. Now somebody is going to come up and ask a question that it may bring him that Jivan Mukti can do Jnana Raksha for such a great sage. But we are but we are going to call somebody great only if that person has some utility to the world. If he has some utility, and then we have shown through the tapa, though apparently he is not doing any projects, running an orphanage or running a school or running an hospital or any welfare center for the world, yet just by his presence alone, everyone is blessed. So, tapa. Now we are at the third prayojanam, which is called as Visamvada. Visamvada means disagreement. Disagreement means a form of conflict. He is living in a space where there is no conflict with the world at all, no friction. There can be friction with the wind, but there is no friction with the space. There is no friction. That means he is someone who is able to accommodate everyone, everything. There is absolute acceptance, like the ocean. Everything is accepted. Rivers from every part of the world are bringing millions of gallons of water every minute. Yet the ocean does not overflow, does not get flooded. The ocean does not refuse, saying enough. The rivers are pouring millions of gallons of water, and yet there is accommodation for everything. It can accommodate. This is this is absence of conflict, absence of disagreement. And if you see, look around, all the common people, all of us are striving on for one thing or two, and that is that we want ourselves to be accepted. Every social movement is a movement demanding acceptance. It was in the decade of 60s that women of America got their rights to vote. They had to protest. The blacks had to protest because every protest means acceptance. Accept us as worthy citizens who have capacity to elect the president and representatives. We too have rights. Demand of rights is making you accept. Yes, yes, we are here. Acceptance is an important thing. That is why are you so comfortable with your friends? Because there is an acceptance. The friends are able to accept, which means anybody can be a friend who has acceptance with all your pros and cons, with all shortfalls. A friend is able to, a person is able to accept, and hence he is a friend. The Jivan Mukta is said to be having friendliness, Maitra Karuna Evacha. That Maitri means acceptance. He accepts. Only when it is accepted, even transformation becomes possible. I have gone and sat into the meetings of Alcoholic Anonymous. And their principle is that the alcoholic person should first accept that he is an alcoholic, he is addicted to it. Because every alcoholic, every addicted person will always say that I am not addicted, I am not dependent on alcohol and these drugs. I can leave it whenever I want. So there is a basic non-acceptance of the fact which makes the transformation impossible. Acceptance is the key over here. The reason why we said that he is the one who transforms the world is because this is one thing accepts everyone. Astika is accepted, Nastika is accepted, Bhakta is accepted, Abhakta is accepted, a disciple is accepted, everybody is accommodated. Therefore, there is absence of conflict. Acceptance of a person and acceptance of what he is saying there is a difference. Puja Swami Dayanand used to say, I accept you as my brother-in-law, accommodate you. But that does not mean I have to accept if you are going to say 2 plus 2 is 5. It is different thing. People are seeking acceptance of themselves. Remember this. But in case of a Jivan Mukta, we have to understand there is this acceptance, which means absence of conflict. Visambhada. Therefore, there is immense joy and peace around him. In fact, at the end of this particular section, we will find a verse which says that every animal, bird, human being finds the same peace that he, she, it finds in presence in the lap of his mother. Just have to see. I observe these monkeys, the gang of monkeys that comes over here. And I think every 6 months that same female monkey is having another baby. And if that baby is separated from its mother even for a while, it becomes so agitated and so petrified. The mother goes and immediately picks it up and puts it to her bosom. And that baby monkey immediately becomes calm. All the animals, including human beings too, it is said, just as one finds that peace, people, animals, everyone finds the same degree of peace in presence of such a great sage. No, please tell me, what more would the world want? What more does the world want? A Jivan Mukta sage is able to give to the world which none of the emperors and presidents and prime ministers and the richest people will ever be able to give. And he does that not because out of doing, but it is just happening because that is his nature. Therefore, there is no question of him doing it. There is no question of him practicing it. It is just what he is. Therefore, there cannot be anything more beautiful than a Jivan Mukta. He is the mobile, living idol of God. In the last century, a great sage like this who used to live in Kashi, Tailanga Swami, finally people started saying that in Kashi, Vishwanath has got two forms. Shiva has two forms. Kashi is the shrine of Lord Shiva. The main temple is the temple in which Shiva is called as Vishwanath, the Lord of the universe. So people used to say that there are two forms of Vishwanath in Kashi. One is Sthavar, one is Jangam. Sthavar means that which is immobile, stationary, and the other one is Jangama, which is which is mobile. The Shivalinga in the temple is the immobile, stationary form of Shiva, of Vishwanath. And Tailanga Swami is the mobile form of Shiva, Jangam Vishwanath. Is the Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of the Brahman is Brahman. He who knows God is God. He who knows God is God. And Paramatma is that in whom the world, along with all everything that is even rejected, is also accepted. That is the reason why we show Shiva with serpents and poison and all that can be rejected by the world. It is accepted. Absence of conflict over here, Visamvada Bhava, is the third prayojana. Let us read it. Visamvada Bhavas Tritiyam prayojana. So now we have seen the earlier two and hence now the third one. न खलु अंतर्मुखे बाह्य व्यापारम अपश्यति योगीश्वरे लौकिकस्तैर्थिको वा कश्चिद् विसंवदते. न खलु अंतर्मुखे. Now we are talking about a sage who is inward facing because of his samadhi. Antarmukhe bahya vyaparam apashyati yogishvare. Now he is not concerned about the worldly outward transactions. Whether you are bringing apples, or you're bringing roses, or you're just bringing some stale food, he does not look at that. His judgment is not about the people because antarmukhe yogini. Yogini is योगीश्वरे लौकिकः तैर्थिको वा कश्चित् विसंवदते. The people of the world or people with inspired by different ideologies. Some are theists, some are atheists, and even when there are theists, they will have their own idiosyncrasies. In spite of all such differences too, where in the hardbound book, uh, there are different books. I will give you the page number. It is just roll through the section of the earlier prayojanam. Tapa, wherein it finishes with the line Tadeva Jivan Muktes Taporupa Dvitiyam Prayojanam Siddham. Where you will come after finishing that there are 2 or 3 long passages from the Mahanarayan Upanishad over there, which I have not taken for discussion. And then the line for you to notice is Tadeva Jivan Muktes Taporupam Dvitiyam Prayojanam Siddham. The following line will be Visambada Bhavas Tritiyam Prayojanam. 303. Okay. Thank you, Monica. Okay. Now, न खलु अंतर्मुखे बाह्य व्यापारम अपश्यति योगीश्वरे लौकिकः. Laukikaha means people of the world. Generally, the street smart people with that worldly intelligence. Those people are tairthikaha. Tairthika means people who belong to different ideologies, schools of philosophy. Even if there are people who are theists, they still will have disagreements. But whether people belonging to different schools of philosophies or people of the worldly nature, people do not disagree with him. Laukikaha tairthiko va kashchid visamvadate. Nobody has any disagreement, argument, conflict with him. He does not have conflict with anyone is one thing. But even people also cannot find him worth conflicting. No matter what kind of people they are. This is wonderful. Laukiko visamvadat vividhaha. Now, the worldly people and their conflict or disagreement is of 2 kinds. The disagreement of the worldly people can be the conflict can be in this, can have these 2 forms. Dvividhaha. Kalaha rupo ninda rupascha iti. Kalaha means some sort of fight. Kalaha. Generally, the tug of war is because of some vested interests. Kalaha rupaha ninda rupascha. Or even if there is no vested interest, it could be just because one wants to criticize. Finding faults, ninda rupascha. Iti. Now he says, Tatra krodhadi rahitena yogina saha katham nama laukikaha kalahayate. Now talking about kalaha, which is fight. And in order to fight, both the parties should there is a disagreement and for which they fight, but they agree on one thing, and that is, let us fight. Tatra krodha rahitena, because he does not have anger at all. Krodha rahitena yogina saha, katham nama laukikaha kalahayate. How would people with this worldly interest be able to fight with him? Because in order to fight, one must provoke the other person, make him angry. If he cannot be provoked, if he cannot be enraged, you cannot fight with him. That is the reason why people will try to all the time key in something so that the anger kicks in. Laukikaha kalahayate tad rahityam cha smaryate. Now, this rahityam, what rahityam? Krodha rahityam. Absence of anger is seen, is shown by the smriti, smaryate. Krudhyantam na pratikrudyet akrishta kushalam vade ativadan stitiksheta navamanyeta kanchana. Now, as a person takes to sannyasa, this is not just only meant for sannyasis. Anybody who wants peace around can take this up. And it is krudhyantam pratina krudhyeta. If somebody is angry, let that anger, he already is angry, but let that anger not become your master. So krudhyantam prati na krudhyantam na pratikrudyeta. Don't become angry towards people who are angry. Then akrishtaha kushalam vadet. If somebody is saying something evil, cruel, or shouting akrishtaha, tam prati what? Kushalam vadet. Say something that is kushalam. If somebody says tera satyanash ho, so don't let that not be a competition. तेरे सारे खानदान का सत्यानाश हो. Instead, कुशलम वेद, तेरा भला हो, भगवान तुम्हें अच्छी बुद्धि दे. कुशलम वदेत. Ativadan stitiksheta. Ativadan stitiksheta means, now if somebody does ativada, ativada is a form of dishonor. Just arguing for the sake of insulting, arguing for the sake of insulting is called as ativada. Generally, that is what we find sometimes on the TV debates. Ativada on stitiksheta, at that time, what should a person do? A seeker should do is, now this is talking about the seeker, we are talking about the one who is a siddha, titiksheta, let him endure it. Endure it. Enduring means bardasht karna. Once Maharajji only asked Udiya Babaji Maharaj, he said, Baba, everybody says that you have siddhis, this yogic powers. What is that? Because it was always observed that wherever Baba went, even if it was a forest, hundreds of people will come and immediately bhandaras will start. Food will start flowing like water over there. All wonderful food, like wedding festival. The whole thing will become like a festival. Wherever he went, even if he went in a disguise and sat, there will be hundreds and thousands of people which will get flocked, and immediately the whole thing will turn into a festival, a celebration. So people used to say that Udiya Babaji Maharaj has got Annapurna Siddhi. So one day, Maharajji himself asked Udiya Babaji, Baba, what is this Siddhi that you have? That time Baba said, Beta, बर्दाश्त करना सिद्धि है. बर्दाश्त करना सिद्धि है. बर्दाश्त करना मतलब to endure, not to suffer silently is not enduring or titiksha. To endure. And he gave an example. Baba said that if a sadhu, a mahatma goes into some village, let him not go for even bhiksha 1 day, 2 days. Let him endure that hunger. From fourth day onwards, the people from that village only will start bringing him food, which will be more than what is required. It will start coming by itself. He doesn't even have to ask. Only thing is that endure. Bardasht karna, titiksheta. This is titiksha. What should be endured when somebody is trying to insult at that time? Don't get into a mode of insulting him back. Shanti. At that time, Nava manyeta kanchana. Do not dishonor anyone. Do not insult anyone. This is meant, it is meant for a seeker, a yogi, a sannyasi. It can be for all, applicable to all. Goodness is, if something is good, it should be imbibed irrespective of anyone. Navamanyeta kanchana. So thus, there is the laukikaha na kalahayante. That is one thing. Because krodha rahityam is there. Now the topic comes with a question as how can there be krodha rahityam in him? How can there be absence of anger, rage in him? Let us see this when we meet for the next class. Visamvada bhavaha. Om yasya nishvasitam veda yo vedebhyo khilan jagat nirmametamaham vande Vidyatirthamaheshwaram. Vidyatirthamaheshwaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayana Sutrabhashritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha.